Cheers.
Everybody has a martini?
Everybody have a martini?
Teeny cheers.
Teeny hands.
To another episode of House of Herby, your safe space for self-discovery and
snowboarding.
Cheers.
This is episode 25.
Oh,
by the
shit.
way.
Is it really?
25.
Oh, shit. Does that mean we have to stop it soon?
Mm-hmm.
Is that too many?
They don't let you do more than 26
Yeah,
episodes.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Actually, in the beginning, when we started this podcast, they told us, or, you know, Alex had read that if you get past episode 6, you might make it.
Right.
We did it.
Yeah. We made it, guys.
It is funny because today we actually shoot these on Fridays, and we call it Numbers Friday, where we go through like all the social medias, all the comments, engaged interactions, shoppers on the site. Like we go through all these numbers because
Not social media.
Huh?
Do we go through social media? We don't go through
We're
social
looking at
media.
the numbers.
Nick was not at the
Look at the
numbers
numbers.
meeting.
No.
Okay, but I'm just saying this because it's a creative living podcast. So the topic for today, especially, this is important because it is really hard as a creative person to see what progress you've made. And one thing that we did back in the Carmen Covers days, like back in the 2010s, is every week I would at least write down in my little calendar how many subscribers we had. Mm-hmm. And you can choose what parameters you want to look at, right? So if you want to look at like, you know, like today I have like a zit forming in my third eye. I'm like, if you want to count your zits every week to measure your stress level, you could also do that. I'm like, why is my third eye swelling up? Do you see it?
Yeah, barely. I wouldn't have seen it if you didn't.
You can only
touch
see my zit if you're watching on Patreon. We love you so much. Patreon.com/House of Herby. We are learning so much. Thank you, especially our patrons right now, because y'all are the first round. You are our first sugar daddies that we've ever hosted in a space like this, and the community is so vibrant and beautiful. We're currently organizing the Discord into different subcategories because there's so many of you engaging there, and we want to make sure the conversations are easily navigated. And as you have a larger group of people, it's better to like break it off into different categories, I guess.
Absolutely.
So using your weekly productivity in the form of numbers is boring. But
I
so
love it.
even if you're spending 5 minutes, you know, we got Shake Shack today, which is like one of our favorite burger places and chicken sandwich places
Thank you for that.
and French fries. And we just sit around and we go over the numbers. And, you know, it's really easy week to week to see these fluctuations and start having what is called imposter syndrome. So when you start facing the real numbers and the real work of like you're turning your creative hobby or you're turning your passion into a job and you're making money now and you have customers and you're managing a mailing list of emails and texting people and doing all these things, right? There inevitably will be up times and down times. And this is just something we've learned over decades of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in music, y'all. Wow. If any of my musician babies are listening, this shit gets crazy.
Total shit show. Total shit show.
It's like, what are we doing here? Am I even good at music?
Well, it's like the picture of what success looks like versus what it feels like, or, what it looks like from the outside to versus what it actually is. And, it's always peaks and valleys, but it's kind of like the stock market. Eventually, over time, if you can consistently get shit out now, you will see the through line go up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like the stock market.
Like the stock market.
And
eventually.
they use like an iceberg picture. You see the tip of the iceberg, right? And then there's like a water line. And then under the water line is like this gigantic.
Yeah. That's where like 98% of it is.
That's
the
where all
shit
the work
nobody
is.
Sees.
By the time the majority of your fans find you, you will have already put in like a decade of work, and they have no idea how.
Have already sunk the Titanic.
They have no idea how big of a dork you are. So imposter syndrome is a really hot topic right now. And I know some of you listening know what this is because we talked about it on a previous episode where we said we need your art. There's an episode called We Need Your Art. And we touched on it. And I just want to go deeper into it today because I'm noticing more and more people talking about this. And I didn't even know at the beginning of my music career that being a woman was going to have a different flavor and a different trajectory. Like I was going to have to climb like steeper mountains in some areas, right? So I want to first acknowledge that imposter syndrome and this like cognitive dissonance is everybody experiences this on a different level. And especially I think women, people of color, people of different level of ability or disability. I mean, there's so many categories where you're just going to start doubting yourself and feeling like you don't belong. And that has such an impact on your purpose and your trajectory.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you can escape it. I don't think...
I mean,
that's it. End of episode.
The queer community, is under attack, like always, but like right now, especially, there's some weird shit. It's even getting into my feed. I'm like, what is happening with drag shows? Like
in Tennessee and stuff.
I can't imagine how much anxiety that must give our queer babies.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird. It's weird right now. So I want to just go over all this stuff today and then give you some tips for how to deal with this thing that we inevitably all feel.
Everybody. And I every person ever through fucking history. I think if you've ever had a human body, you've never been able to escape this shit. Yeah, it's been interesting. The more that I, throughout our career and through our own personal experience, there's been different layers of this for me personally.
Oh, yeah.
But it is, yeah. Well, okay, go ahead. You want to get into some shit? 'Cause
So
I got some shit.
Yeah. So all of us suffer from imposter syndrome at some point. It's inevitable when you're breaking into new territory too. So if you're feeling imposter syndrome, I want to congratulate you because you're pushing, babe. You are courageously pushing beyond what, society is allowing of you. And that's, nobody's going to congratulate you. Jedi said something this week. He was like, you know what? Nobody pats you on the back when you if you're going off and doing something, starting your own business or just being creative and doing something that's never been done. Nobody runs up with a dozen roses and balloons and cake and says, you did it. Like, what?
Matthew McConaughey comes out. Ashton Kutcher, what was his name? Here you go. You made it. Congratulations.
But
Nobody fucking, that never happens. You don't have the soundtrack. You don't have John Williams with the string section coming through as you're hiking the top of the mountain, seeing the ocean.
This is a way better experience than
You know what I'm saying?
So Nick and I are going to be the ones that do congratulate you. We just want to,
shit.
We want to give you on this episode of House of Herby.
Congratulations.
Let's give you a big old pat on the
Oh
back.
my God. Good fucking job.
Or if
you
you
look good.
If you don't
look
like being
so
touched,
good today.
if you don't like being touched, we're sending, some Reiki energy to you right
Yep.
now. Congratulations, babe. You're doing it. It's happening. Okay.
We're making jewelry now.
I am making jewelry. Not everybody listening is making jewelry, but if you are, congratulations. Whatever it is that you're pursuing, we are proud of you and want you to know that there is always somebody that can acknowledge this in you. And that's one of our tips for dealing with imposter syndrome today that I found in my studies.
So what you just did is you flipped the angle of it to look at it as gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude is one of the cheat codes for these things.
And having somebody authentically and genuinely tell you that you're doing amazing and that they believe in you is invaluable.
Yeah, it is.
Phoning a friend when you're experiencing imposter syndrome is so helpful. If you don't have someone, that you can talk to, that's okay too. We will continue to tell you. But if you do have a friend, this can be very therapeutic. Now, there are some friends that will reinforce your imposter syndrome and say, growing up, my family especially was worried about my career choice and my path. And so calling them and telling them about what was happening was not healthy for me.
Yeah.
Because they would instill more fear and create more of this feeling, right? And that's not their fault. They are literally, they just never faced their own.
Well, they're doing the best of what they can.
Best of what they know, right?
Yeah.
And it does. So that's why I say congrats. You have been courageous enough to pursue something wild and crazy that, it's a crazy dream where your dream life is calling and you answered. So, okay. So what exactly is imposter syndrome? Psychological occurrence where people doubt their skills, talents, or accomplishments and have a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as frauds. This one the word fraud is so rude. That hurts me.
Yeah.
The word fraud. It's pretty intense to think of yourself as a fraud.
It is, but this is also such a so all of this, our big moment right now that we're having, I feel like is very there's so much exposure of fraudulent shit happening. It's been over the last, especially financially, I feel like. Everybody has discovered billionaires and they're like, oh my God, I want to be a billionaire. And everybody's trying to do whatever they can to kind of fake it or make it thing to try to show that they're this whatever. And they're all frauds. Not all of them, but the vast majority.
How do you go from being courageous and chasing a dream to actually being fraudulent?
Without having
because if we're actually
call that? Toxic positivity or something?
Maybe, yeah. Because imposter syndrome, yeah, especially with all the influx of new news coming out about this, the WeWork show.
Dude, the Sam Friedman, what's his name? The cryptocurrency, was it FXT or something?
So much crypto crime going on.
Bernie Madoff, that was a little while ago, but all of these things where there were,
So you're telling me people experiencing imposter syndrome think that they're those people? No. So that's your first clue. That's your first clue. If you feel like a fraud, like you don't belong, right? People with imposter syndrome are undervaluing their contributions and attributing their success to external factors. Do you ever hear this where people are like, "Oh my God, great job, Alex. I loved how you," and you're like, "Oh, it's just because, they had the right thing in stock."
Totally, yeah.
Right? So that happens all the time. And then doing great things at work and then being like, "Oh, it's just, no, it wasn't me. It was just the lucky break."
So it's like being humble to a fault.
It's different than humility though, because you start to sabotage your success.
So there you go. So it's a subconscious self-sabotage.
Yes. So then what you do is you overwork and you set unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
And then you get burnout because you tried so hard that your job becomes a chore.
It wasn't sustainable.
And you're not inspired anymore.
Yeah.
And then you're like, why did we even start doing this?
I feel like that with trombone. I'm fucking burnt out of that shit.
Really?
No, I haven't played it in years.
I haven't played for years. You should pick it up.
I probably should.
So the feelings that people have are anxiety, insecurity, dread. Okay. And they can't experience success at an internal level, which is, this is where I start to get into it. I'm like, oh no, I have this. This is what I have. For some reason, whenever something good happens, I'm like, okay. And then you think something bad's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is like that self-sabotage.
Yeah, it's a classic. Yeah, I noticed the other day, what happened, I took too much edible or something. I forget exactly what happened, but I was realizing that, so since doing all of this letting go work shit that we'll talk about one of these weeks, after like doing it for a couple years, what happens is you start getting fast at tracing the origin emotion that you're experiencing or why you're in a bad mood or something. And I noticed when I traced something all the way down one day or whatever, what I was actually experiencing or afraid to experience was joy.
Huh.
And it was weird because it was like, what? But I kind of like sat with it for a long time and just like meditated on it for a while. And it is experiencing joy completely is almost an overwhelming experience. And it was hard. It actually still, and I'm still practicing it, to be honest with you. It's such an incredible, so I think it was the root of it was actually something really positive that you were still scared to experience.
So maybe we are just all a little bit afraid, and that's our nature in a physical body. We're afraid of experiencing bliss and joy and perfection.
And I think that's, again,
and success.
Part of the fucking point. I think the human body, for whatever reason, maybe it's because today's crazy fucking world or whatever, but yeah, that's only an earthly, that's an ego problem, which means it originates from having a body. It's the body experience.
Yeah. So you're having all these successes on an external level. Like you could objectively say, I reached this goal and I did this thing, but internally you're like, no.
Yeah, it's
it's like, okay, wait. Only you can prevent forest fires. Only you can turn that attention inward, like Nick was saying, and be like, okay, bitch, wait a second. Did you just say no? I'm not. Is this healthy for us? Because they're not even people experiencing imposter syndrome are nowhere close to being like narcissistic assholes. Like they're just too far.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure narcissists experience imposter syndrome, but that's got to be so intense.
Just bury it deep down.
Right.
Keep on going.
So unlike humility, it prevents you from going forward in your purpose. So this is the research that I did today. And I was like, holy shit, I definitely experienced this.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people also feel this sense that time is running out. Like you've been putting on an act and can't keep it up much longer.
Oh yeah.
So this imposter feeling almost sounds like a past life trauma. You think you're playing a role. Now, if everything we said about reincarnation is true, where we've just like these ball of energies that just keep coming back in different forms and trying new experiences to grow as a soul, you probably definitely feel like an imposter because you are a new you this time. You weren't Nick last time.
What?
So you even having your physical form in the way that it is as Nick is different.
Yeah. I mean, if you are, yeah.
I wonder if this is where a lot of our issues come from too. like a societal
This is becoming
level.
very
If we could
existential very
prove,
quickly.
if we could prove past lives are real, that would be so sick. It is fun to say like, hey, you can forgive yourself and have some compassion because you are playing a new role. Of course you feel like an imposter. Of course this is hard for you. Let's talk about the things that get us here too, right? So even if it's not a past life thing, if we don't believe in that type of thing, there's a lot of ways that you can acquire imposter syndrome. So where would you say if somebody felt like they weren't worthy, worthiness is it? Where do you think this comes from though? Like childhood?
Yeah, sure. I do think it innately is in anybody, everybody. You know, there's some weird egoic thing that the fucking brain does or whatever that it's, and everybody has some different form of it. The self-sabotage thing.
Yes.
Where they just kind of like it.
Saboteur is what they call it.
Saboteur.
The archetype is saboteur. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe we should talk about that because
we'll do an archetypes episode. I'm fascinated by that.
It's like there are two types of, it's like a confidence, right? So you have like a egoic confidence, and then you have like a true confidence. True confidence trumps everything, anywhere, anytime.
All at once.
Okay, then egoic confidence is external. So that depends on whether things are going well or not. And if you have
that's really interesting because we're talking about numbers.
Like receiving compliments or you know what I mean? Or receiving money or whatever. Getting likes on Instagram. Jesus. Getting likes on Instagram.
How much assurance do you need that you're dope?
How much assurance do you need that you're dope? And you're constantly looking for the things that are wrong.
Yes.
And I think the brain is just kind of programmed that way. So it is mastering your body.
Yes.
Which is, I guess the human experience, but understanding your body.
Becoming aware and turning that attention inward and saying, where is this coming from actually? That's why we love meditation, even though we also hate it.
And another thing too that we have learned from the last couple of years is investigative thinking.
Yeah.
This is a easy way to solve all of these kind of like self-sabotage questions.
Dude,
like
a lot of therapists are recommending this. So what is it exactly? You stop yourself.
So just recognize that your thoughts are not who you are. I know it's a fucking brain fuck, guys.
It sounds simpler than it is.
It sounds simpler than it is. What's going to happen? You're going to get caught in your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you're just going to follow them, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh my god, I'm hyperventilating. We're all dead." Okay, so before you get there, dial it back a little bit. Recognize, and this is why it's like mastering the body and the breath work is so interesting because what happens is you start noticing when your body is fluctuating, emotions. So you have thoughts. The thoughts make the body react in different emotional ways, right? And so all you do is you just observe them. Mm-hmm. Or investigative thinking is asking questions like, is it true?
Right. Are you actually not successful? Are you not, right? Because a lot of times for you and me, we you can't sustain like your highest numbers like all the time. And this happened on the label too with Carmen. It was like, you can't always sustain. Some people get like their biggest hit songs and then they never come back with a song bigger than that. That's like the normal, come on, what do you expect? There's 8 billion of us. You can't always have the number one song. The hell is wrong with you? And that triggers shame. When you realize that you can't come back at the level you did. And that's what was impossibly unsustainable about the label is that they reinforced this. Even when we had, it's the only thing they focused on. And it's like, okay, that works because you can discard. I mean, labels are kind of narcissistic. You can just discard us and move on to the next person, whoever has the hit. And then you discard them. It never is the same artists
and this is even
at the top of a label.
That entire system is pretty, I don't know if abusive is the right word.
It's a word.
But it's pretty toxic.
Yeah.
It's pretty toxic. And I don't think people understand it because still like across the board, whether you're high vibrational or low vibrational, if a lot of people know your art or your music or whatever, it's considered success.
So
what
let's say
don't know though,
outside of a record deal too, like you're working an office job and you have record sales and they invite you to the VIP CEO suite luncheon.
Your own Keurig machine.
You get invited to the luncheon and then like the next quarter your sales are down back to like still high higher than you were before, but like lower, and you don't get the invite to the luncheon.
Yeah.
This is how society operates. It's
I
like you're
love
in,
lunch.
you're out. They're on you when you're hot, off you when you're not.
And that's forever. And you think at some point when you, and this is the fucking thing, man. I always think of these cases, it's really dark.
Uh-oh.
But I always kind of think of Anthony Bourdain.
Yes. Like people
Doing-
couldn't believe that he took his life.
Doing kind of
The dream
dream
job.
that anybody, you just travel, go around and eat, drink, hang out with people, do different cultures, do whatever just see the fucking world and humans in every different part of it and hang out, know the local culture. That sounds fun as fuck. It's still, there was some part of it that wasn't still enough, and that's, it's a lot.
You got to watch out. It is easy to, shit. Like we can't judge his situation at all. We have no idea.
You can't judge it.
But I'm like, did he phone a friend? Did he do I'm sure, I'm sure over time.
You never know.
So
and it doesn't matter. Judging it doesn't
It
solve
doesn't
anything.
matter. That
Right.
was his journey too. And like, he's going to be on to like bigger and greater things. I'm sure next
He
life
already
is
had
going to
an
be
incredible life.
incredible. And we don't know even what that kind of success feels like.
Yeah.
We don't know. We can't judge that.
Though I do know. It's been a really fascinating thing. Like the last year, 18 months or so, maybe last year, all of a sudden, I feel like something happened with Queen Herby, and suddenly people, like a lot more people, suddenly like know who you are.
Right.
Like when we go places.
Yeah.
But like I remember with Carmen, like probably more so than where you were with Carmen at that point. But I remember too, like the sway of that, and it was so. It was just a very different experience then.
Yeah. No, it's drastic. Fame is very drastic.
And very fleeting, and very it kind of puts you on your heels a little bit. It was a very just egoically fascinating experience.
Definitely. So the places you can acquire imposter syndrome is family environment, right? Where your family or your parents overemphasized achievement or were overly critical. So I have this one. I have
Okay.
this one like to the core, right? So you come home, you're excited you got an A- on a really hard test. And your mom's like, why didn't you get A+?
Could have been an A.
That's very damaging
Yeah.
to a child,
I was like, well, it could have easily been a fucking C. All right.
but most likely their parents did that to them.
Yeah.
And it continued forever. So if you're a parent, I hope you can learn, I'm sure that you are already an amazing parent, but that's something to consider. You can break generational trauma about imposter syndrome. We can give the next generation way less excuses to end up in this position where they doubt themselves all the fucking time, right? Social pressures. So again, this is when friends and colleagues include you or don't include you when you're performing at their level of standard, right? Which is not healthy. If you have friends who especially in Hollywood, this is it, man. In California, in Nebraska, people are like, you're your friend or you're not, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if you didn't say hi at Walmart, that's like, we're beefing now.
Oh, weird. Yeah.
But in
Somebody's gotta
Hollywood,
go.
like all of a sudden, like you have a video blow up or I've been watching you for years. I'm such a big fan. It's like, where were you
Totally.
a month ago when I was down in the dumps with imposter syndrome? Right? It's very enforced in Hollywood. This is a very real thing. And I'm sure y'all let us know if you feel this where you live.
And also too, like the fucking Oscars were a couple of weeks ago, and all Brendan Fraser, and I'm gonna fuck up the pronunciation of his name. Who was the guy from Everything Everywhere All at Once, from Indiana Jones?
And none of us are going to pronounce it.
Yeah, because
We're not even gonna
he
try.
was correcting people. I saw this whole video of him correcting
I
people
love
on the red
that.
carpet, and it was really cute. But
That's so
because he's just such a kind soul, you can tell.
And he's been in it. I'm sure he had
Dude,
imposter syndrome
are
at some
you
point.
kidding me? Yeah, he was for what 20, 30
You have a superstar
years.
role at like 9 years old, and then you wait to get your Oscar till you're like, what, 50? How old is he?
Yeah.
40?
He just hung around, man.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So any circumstance from your past actually can trigger imposter syndrome. And especially folks who speak different languages, are different ethnicities, different genders, socioeconomic status,
Women.
religion, physical or learning disabilities. All these things can fuel the phenomenon of feeling like a fraud or like you don't belong,
Yeah.
right? And you can the weird thing is that you can carry this feeling long after that situation resolved. Like, so even if you no longer feel like an outcast because you're a woman, people support you, This is just ingrained. It's a trauma, right? You're ignoring it. So it sits in your body until you confront it. So that's why we're doing this episode. Introverts also, by the way, asterisks, introverts feel it more.
Parentheses, end of parentheses.
Introverts communicate inward instead of outward. So if you're all by yourself in there, like,
Would you categorize yourself as an introvert?
I
now?
would, yeah.
Holy shit.
Don't
We're
you think?
getting divorced.
Okay. Nick is an extrovert and I lean a little bit on the introvert scale.
Yeah, I mean, I vote Democrat, but I lean pretty centrist. No, I am definitely an extrovert. I feel like I am becoming less of an extrovert as I grow up.
Sure. Yeah, that's
Less
interesting.
trombone
Well, you're
lessons.
becoming also, I think a lot of extroverts are like, everything's outside of them, which is
Yeah.
not always a good balance. I think a balance would be the perfect central. Being able to give yourself to others while also restoring yourself internally.
Yeah. See?
That's a vibe.
That's a good vibe.
So fuck introverts and extroverts.
Yeah. Fuck you.
But let's talk about what kind of personalities emerge from imposter syndrome. Perfectionists. Perfectionists, stand up.
Let's go.
At the root of perfectionism is the fear of losing control.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing.
What about the fear of success too? Like if it actually works.
I think that's one of these.
Sorry. Keep going.
There's
I'll
so
let you
many.
Go through all your shit.
I was just reading articles from therapists trying to become a professional. So you hear me being a perfectionist for this episode.
See, there you go.
There's Superwoman. This is another personality type where you just are like, nope, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to do it all. You have like no gauge of what's possible. Of course, you're going to feel like an imposter. You're not Superwoman. And this is the fear of free time or taking away from work. So this is interesting. You don't take vacations. That's me.
Yeah.
Being Superwoman, like, no, I'll just do it all and I'll shoot the whole collection today and we'll and it'll be great. It's like, okay, but maybe you need a couple days this weekend to just sleep, watch some shows, make some necklaces. Oh wait, that's still working. Technically.
See.
It's me. Don't worry. I'll just finish it all.
It's fine.
Natural genius. This is the person that believes that they get it right the first time. Ooh, imagine you put the effort forth into your thing and you're like not willing to edit it.
Yeah.
You're not willing to go back and take time and think about it. Of course they have imposter syndrome because they're unwilling to like step back and like
I
take
had
their
that in the
time.
beginning of producing.
And they can't take criticism either. They won't.
Right. Oh yeah.
If you get feedback from somebody, you're like,
It's personal.
no.
It becomes personal.
Isn't
you're
that funny?
Yeah, well, you're personally attacking me.
That is such a
And
form
it's
of
like,
imposter
and it's
syndrome.
like, dude, chill. Like the song sucks.
It sucks. And the root feeling of that is the fear of failing, the shame.
Yeah. And shame, remember, on that fucking scale, shame is like, I think right above death.
Yeah.
Shame is one of the lowest ones you can feel. That's how fucking, yeah.
Yeah. Being able to take feedback from someone and always with a grain of salt. They might have be reflecting their own issues on you of their own imposter syndrome, right? So you got to, this is tricky shit.
Sometimes it blows my mind that any kind of human communication can happen successfully at all. Because
Period.
everything that I'm saying to somebody else is you bouncing off of like what I'm saying and the emotions and like the fucking facial expressions that I'm using to say it are in your brain triggering a whole other world of different like responses and things based off of your past experiences. And then, you know what I mean? And then eventually nobody knows what anybody's fucking talking about.
Nobody.
And then we're just here having a martini with a dog in my lap.
And recording it for the internet.
Oh my God.
How did we get here?
How did this happen?
But it's
I need a pizza.
It's pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
Existing is really fun.
Well, and then at the end of the day, you just fucking like eventually you get to this fever pitch and then you let it go. And then you're like, all right, it was pretty fun.
That's why an episode on letting go and surrender is important.
It's so important. That's kind of like
Every week we
there's
say,
been-
what are we talking about?
So that's what I mean.
And
It's
Nick
like
says,
it
letting go. And I was like,
becomes-
no.
She's like, just let it go, Nick.
Let it
And
go.
I'm like,
Nick.
ah!
Okay, sorry. 2 more
Oh
personality
my
types.
God, tell me all the personality types.
Sorry, this is so fun for me. I'm a learner. Soloist, not willing to ask for help. Get out of town.
I'm not pointing, but I'm pointing.
It's me, y'all. I'm the soloist. I can't. It's hard for me to like give things for other people to do. I have to do everything myself, and I can't ask for help. This is imposter syndrome.
To be fair with you, though, you're a rare thing where you're actually really good at a bunch of things.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, But you do have to focus on, if you want to really just focus on a couple things to make sure that they're, this certain level or whatever.
Right.
Then yeah, you do have to delegate, but
Yeah.
eventually.
No, it's probably good to
But
hire.
You are really good at a lot of things.
Hire someone to change the washing machine tubes.
Sorry, what?
Because if you try
Your
to
what
change them
hurts?
yourself, you'll flood your loft.
Oh my God. We won't even talk about that story.
You know what I mean? Like I couldn't just ask someone to help me with that. That
Yeah.
was so silly,
That
but I
was
flooded our loft.
Dude, that was
Yeah.
the most fucking frantic. Wow.
It was
Yeah,
a
that was
combination
a stressful
of things.
couple.
Like they had the water shut off in the building, so it was a few things going on.
It was like some perfect timing. They had shut
Perfect.
the water off, and then so it was like a buildup.
I had to do
So-
therapy about that.
Yeah, when it was spewing in
Yep.
the loft, they were like, "It's already shut off. I don't know what to tell you."
Yeah.
and it was just coming at like gallon.
Speaking of the
gushing.
Titanic, yeah.
God.
No, it was like, and it was freezing cold too. At least it wasn't hot.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
true.
so
It was the
funny.
cold side, at least.
So funny.
Okay, so ask
So
for
much
help.
trauma.
Ask for help. If you're a soloist and you can't ask for help, this may be a sign that you're suffering imposter syndrome. And the last one is expert. I must have all the credentials before applying for this job. Mic drop.
Yeah, that
This
was.
is an example of not sharing your music until it's ready. It's not perfect yet. Fear of inadequacy.
Yeah, totally. I felt that way going to Berkeley. So like what I was saying before, like I was actually going to be a chiropractor like my junior year of high school. And then we went to that Berkeley summer camp and I was like, oh shit, maybe I can I don't know. Maybe this is a thing I can do. And then I remember having the distinct thought, like, if you ever make it in music, going to Berkeley was like a decision where regardless if I ended up in jazz trombone or whatever, like I felt like I had to go to Berkeley to feel like I knew what the fuck I was talking about.
Right.
Otherwise, that's probably a little bit of what you're talking about.
That's definitely because you probably didn't have to go.
Oh, fuck no.
Hello.
Yeah.
Now you can say
Sorry,
that.
Sorry, Berkeley.
In
Love
hindsight-
ya. You don't need to be successful at music.
We could
I'm
do a
sorry, you don't
whole-
need to go to Berkeley to be
We
successful
could do
in
a
music.
whole episode on this. Like, how many of you have not released your art to the world because you're like, well, I don't know. I need to fill out some paperwork and maybe I need to take some classes.
I
And
haven't got a haircut.
babe, actually, it's a new world. You can do anything you fucking want. It's true. Well, except for you can't do surgeries. You do have to go to school for that, right? But
What?
there's very few things that you can't do yourself.
Oh, okay, I got you. So you can do surgeries. Just do.
Well, you do have to go to school for that.
Yeah, make sure you watch a YouTube video.
You don't have imposter syndrome. Like, you got to
Yeah.
just do the training for the surgery. But everything else, I feel like,
Please have imposter syndrome for surgeries.
yeah, but like starting your own business. Like, I've talked to so many, I've mentored some babies along the way.
Or being an
They're
artist
like,
at
oh,
all.
I don't know. How do you, can I just sign up for a website? I'm like, oh my God.
Being an artist.
You can. Yes.
Doing all these things in general is going to be such an incredible volley of being like, I'm the best thing in the world. Oh my God, I'm awful.
Yeah. No, it's like, what's the most, I have imposter syndrome when I push myself to the point where I'm like, okay, what's an example? Oh, there's plenty. Okay, today I was at a bead store and I was just like, okay, I was at a bead store and I was like, okay, I'm not really like a jeweler. And they were like, do you have an account? And I was like, shame. And I was like, oh, no, tell me more about that. Instead of your imposter syndrome getting you down and having you turn away in shame from an opportunity, instead say, turn on the charm and be like, hi, Janice. Thank you so much for talking to me. I'm sure you're very busy. I love your store. It's beautiful. Like, how do I sign up for a Swarovski account?
Where'd you get that top? I love it.
You know what I mean?
Investigative thinking. You literally were like, oh, let me just ask some fucking questions.
Because
sometimes
also
it's that fucking easy.
these people are bored. And if you're pleasant and a good vibe, they do want to talk to you. And they will give you information because eventually they'll make money off of you too. I'm going to probably buy some beats from her.
People love money. It's the thing I found.
They love money, but they love especially getting money from people and energies that they appreciate and like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the biggest issue with imposter syndrome that I feel, and I don't know if all the therapists would agree with me on this, but I think worthiness is the one, and we could do a whole episode about it, but babe, when you find out that you just inherently don't feel worthy of something, that's it. That's the answer.
Yeah.
If no achievement is enough to prove it to yourself, you have to restore your self-worth.
Yeah.
I found this out about myself like couple years ago, not that long ago. I was watching like a Matt Kahn video. Oh my God, I've never talked about him on here.
Matt Kahn.
Matt Kahn.
Yeah, he's the guy you've sent me a bunch of his shit, right?
He's profound, a spiritual leader person.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was like, he did a whole series on healing worthiness, and I had just never thought about that. I was like, oh wow, I'm profoundly unworthy inside. There's a lot of things that I'm like, me, a woman out here, like I would say like pretty forward thinking for her time, still limited, because we are all unlimited. All of our journeys are important. All of our adventures needing to happen are just held back by us, right? We have unlimited potential. You're inherently magic. So how do you free that? How do you free the beast? So they say. So your sacral chakra. So if you want to do some more deep dives on worthiness, and we'd love to hear your ideas in the Discord, because we should do an episode on worthiness and like how to restore it, because that's a game changer if you can get that. This is sacral chakra, which is like right below your belly button, like 2 inches below your navel, is where you keep your pleasure, creativity, sexuality, and abundance. So that's like where you would feel your worthiness. If you want to do some chakra, if you're into that shit, or if you just want to Google like how to heal my worthiness, there's some really great advice online. But yeah, it's worthiness is entangled in virtually every issue, and healing this can be the cure for so many problems. And you're the only one who can do it. I would love to do it for you, because I am a people pleaser, but I can't. You're the only person who can do it. Worthiness is literally the root vibration of all of my songs. So if you want to listen to Queen Herby, like all my music is channeling this energy. And yeah, the truth at the end of this whole conversation is that you matter and you're here for a specific purpose.
And I think one of the root, like the core of one of those vibrations is probably courage.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it's a fucking, listen, man, the shit isn't, sometimes when you're in it, it's the simplest thing ever. Nothing could be easier. It's like the flow state shit we were talking about. Everything makes sense. And when you're not in it, it feels fucking impossible.
The courage to...
And that's okay. That's perfectly 100% fucking... I mean, if we could interview George Washington, you know what I mean? I bet... Be like, why are your teeth made out of wood? All right, you have imposter syndrome. No, but like it's such a you do need sometimes it requires courage to like still put your shit out there and to really fucking to still step outside. Almost like the fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes that's not a bad...
that's the opposite of imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Well,
you're out here like, oh, well, you do still deeply feel that you're not...
Right. So
you don't
it's
belong.
not a sustainable feeling. Eventually they're going to feel like, and there will be a breaking point where they're like, it's not, I can't do it. Or, you know, it's even if, God forbid, things go well, then they're still going to have to deal with the joy. You're still going to have to deal with the joy.
From that angle too, like... Eventually you fake it till you make it, and you end up in a room of like professionals, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I belong here. No, you find out that nobody knows what the fuck they're doing.
I know, nobody knows, you guys.
This is the life hack of this episode.
I have been
Nobody knows what they're doing. Congratulations.
Nobody knows.
Choose what rooms you want to be in. You belong as long as it's something that brings you joy. Period.
And to encourage that, because I'm the perfectionist.
Yes, Alex.
But I also am like a big risk taker. So like I when I met you two, I was an amateur at a lot of things, but the one thing you were looking for, I was like, I can do that. We'll see what happens here.
And why were you willing to
beating?
You were willing to try it because you were like, no, if I can make this work, I know it'll bring me somewhere.
Yeah, I was like, I can assist with this one thing that I know they're looking for, but it's all the other aspects of the things that this team is doing that I want to be a part of. So I'm just gonna get in there with a lot of imposter syndrome and just be like, no, I'm gonna figure this shit out. And now here I am.
And
See?
What really was what I noticed about you on the first day was like Well, first, you're tall and attractive, so you have some privilege.
Oh, there we go. Pretty boy
You
privilege.
have some privilege
It is
going.
easier walking into a room being
Yeah.
white and 6'2". It
Thank
is-
you. So we also need to acknowledge,
I do
you know,
acknowledge that.
you can't even talk about this with
However,
about.
you did not hire me. You hadn't even met me.
I didn't know. No.
True.
No clue.
So I will say the first shoot we ever did, was it the wifey video?
Wifey, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and I remember it specifically because that's when I was understanding that I was a director and
Yeah.
had to like, do all
Totally.
the and we were fucking super dumbasses. And we're like, why don't we do like 3 photo
8,000
shoots and shoot a video at the same
In the
time
same
in the
day.
same
Yeah,
place?
it was the worst.
With like 4 people. We're like, what could go wrong? We did it. However, it was like gross. It was not something, not
Yes.
a sustainable action.
But this is
Let's
what
put it that way.
happens even on $200,000 label shoots.
Absolutely.
That's why I
totally.
wasn't. I didn't
You
feel.
guys.
I didn't feel imposter in front of Alex, right? So then, as the overachiever person who can't ask for help, I was like,
yeah.
oh shit, we're over our heads on this, So
But you killed it. You killed it that whole shoot, and you were making sure we were on schedule. Everything
Yeah,
was,
oh, yeah,
you know what I mean. And I was like, all right, well, this is it. This is all we need.
yeah. And what
was great.
often happens is you meet someone like Alex, and over time they become jaded and work less hard. But that didn't happen with you either.
Oh, right.
Oh, Alex has plenty of time.
He has time to get
Yeah, it's
jaded.
only been 5 years. Come on.
Okay,
It's only
good.
been 5 years. Come on,
Okay,
give him
great.
a number like 12.
No,
He'll
people
be-
become they become
he'll be
lazy
exhausted.
and jaded, and then, well, usually what that is a sign of you not being on purpose. So what I also find is the people I work with, I try to check in with them every once in a while, like, hey, what are your bigger dreams? Like, is this in alignment? Because
You do always do that. Yeah.
I don't want to just force people. I did force Nick into doing my bidding,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we talk about. I was like, do you feel trapped?
We'll talk about that later.
Are you? Yeah.
That's next week.
This is a lot of dynamics to manage, y'all.
Why
Totally.
my husband is trapped.
Yes, but this is a safe space for you to explore your feelings and thoughts about this at a deep, deep, deep level. The courage to accept yourself as you are, and that worthiness, and giving yourself the self-care. How many of you don't take vacations and don't take baths and don't take care of yourself and get massages and meditate on a regular basis and eat healthy and work out at the gym? If you can develop that awareness, we do this through driving each other crazy, meditation, also just learning and to notice the voice of your saboteur, the sabotaging voice in your head, just trying to be like, hey, bitch, become friends with her. Ask her some questions.
We'll sit with her. The thought of the fear
wait.
is always worse than the reality of the fear.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah,
That's the scariest thing.
Yeah,
it's the thought. It's what's the quote? Fear itself.
Yeah.
Like that's always scarier than
The actual moment.
than the reality
Yeah.
of it.
Like if you were in a very stressful situation that just erupted right in this moment, we would take a deep breath and we would handle it. Right? So trusting that you can do that, having the courage to know that that's possible for you. Inner child work is a big one. Making a list. Okay, inner child work. We just skimmed over that. That's a whole episode.
Yeah.
Make a list. Reasons I'm inadequate versus reasons I'm adequate.
Yeah.
Right?
Question
That's
it.
helpful if you're competent. I'm competent. Inadequate versus competent. If you're one of those list makers like me and you're like, wait, okay, well, I don't have any experience in making beats. Okay, but I have really good instincts and like people buy my beads. Okay. I don't know the right people. Okay, well, scratch that out because I am really good at talking on the phone and calling people out of the blue and just asking questions. Okay, I do have a big audience and following, so like they are supporting me. Okay, so then you start keeping your list and you're like, okay, I can get rid of the imposter syndrome because my list of competency is greater. This is a really good exercise. It helps to step back and focus on what really matters too. So again, taking your vacation every weekend to the mountains, excellent. Your health, your safety, your loving friends, your creativity, your hobbies, your dogs, eating good food. Like, what are you working so hard? What are you being an imposter for?
Ask why. I think a lot of times too, if people were honest with themselves, it might not be something that the reason that they're trying to sabotage it or whatever could be because it's not what they want.
Period. The courage to say, like, do I actually
Maybe
like
I
this?
don't want this. I know this is something that the rest of the world says I should
need
want.
to do.
Yeah, but like maybe I don't. That's a big deal.
We just
Ask
flipped
why.
it. Imposter
Ask why.
syndrome's a good thing. It might bring light to the truth for you.
Dude, it might save yourself a fucking couple decades. You know what I'm
Save
saying?
yourself a couple decades, and it is never too late. By the way, oh my
No.
god, mantras and affirmations. Yes. Just
but-
repeating things, positive statements to yourself to build up that self-worth. It sounds corny. I know. I hate these things too, but
see, those things are tough for me though, because if you don't do that from a
authentic place.
Authentic
if you're like,
place.
I'm a bad bitch, I'm great, I'm awesome.
You can't muscle it. This is what I'm learning from reading all these things, and then also from practicing it. You cannot muscle this shit. You do have to
Believe it.
Well, this is why letting go is so important, because how do you believe it? How do you access that state where you're going to allow yourself to believe it? And you have to stop trying to hide anything, or stop trying to pretend, or stop trying in general. Just stop fucking trying. Just be you. See what happens. And then from that state, then you can start programming yourself in a positive place, and then you'll be willing to accept it. But that's why, if you just stay, it's like, it's still going to hit the force field. It's never going to get past that. Does that make sense?
It does. It's not for everybody, but for me, I wrote like a life mission statement that I update every few years. It's like, I'm Queen Herby, the biggest artist in the world, a lyrical genius, healer, and designer, creating a new world of peace and balance with peace, balance, joy, and safety with a team of visionary craft masters.
And the best lawn in town.
What? The best lawn?
I don't know.
If I had a lawn, it would be the best.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I have perfectionist friends.
Perfectionist Alice.
So, perfectionist Alice.
I didn't even mean to say Alice.
Sometimes he's Alice to us. We're all just here in our multiple forms, and we're imposters of these own bodies. Maybe we just need to accept.
Alice.
Maybe we can just accept that we are imposters in these weird ass bodies that are temporary as fuck.
Well, okay. Let's say we do. Let's say we're all just a bunch of fucking bag of dicks.
Yep.
And we're like, you know what? I'm an imposter. Guess what? I almost feel better about
That's
it.
kind of fun.
I'm like, all of a sudden now it's more fun. Now
Let's go to Disneyland and pretend that we're princesses.
Let's give me the dress. Let's do this. Put it on TikTok. No, but it becomes less serious. It becomes more loose.
This is why I love camp and why I love kitsch, and I love like these art forms, and like drag artistry is so important to me because it just frees you from.
It's loose.
Yes, and I think as eternal souls, most likely we just want to feel like we can transform and we can be whoever we want in any moment.
One of the first serious talks we ever had as a couple. I don't know if you remember.
I got wide.
I'm excited to hear about this.
I was like, listen.
What? This is so dramatic.
We were walking on Newberry.
Okay.
And things that started getting really serious all of a sudden. Like, okay, well, we're going to start dating, and that means we gotta do. And I was just like, oh, okay, no, this isn't fun anymore. We're fucking 19 or 20, however fucking 19, old we were.
Yeah.
The reason we started dating and hanging out or whatever, realizing that we liked each other, was because everything was loose. Everything was fun. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any like tight restrictions around anything. And I was like, can we just stay here for a little bit?
Can we have an open relationship? He didn't say that.
Yeah, I was like, and I'm gay.
But that's what I took it as a Nebraska girl. I was like, he doesn't want to. He wants to keep shopping.
Too much pressure.
Well, and if you have no self-worth, you're like, oh, there's someone else. He doesn't like me.
But that wasn't the case.
Correct.
I did.
I had imposter syndrome.
And I tried to tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I knew. It's weird because like deep down, I knew that I'm the baddest bitch here.
Right.
Period. Like you can't do better than this.
You know what I'm saying?
Unless you're gay, but that would be fine too. That would be actually
great.
That'd be great.
Quite a prize.
But yeah, it is funny how your insecurities just come up, especially, man, if you're under the age of 35.
This is what I'm saying. When you're young,
just give yourself some time.
God,
you're gonna heal this.
It's all right.
Thank you for listening, but like you've got more time.
It's part of the game.
Nick's yelling.
Do it. Live the life, man. Live the life. When you're young, you don't even know who you are.
Right.
Or literally up until your 30s sometimes.
It all seems so intense.
It does.
But it seems so serious.
Oh,
it seems
man.
so real. Yeah, it doesn't mean it doesn't feel crazy at the time.
We have literally no skin in your game, right? So we're here telling you that you have time and it's not as serious as you think. so you can believe us, because we literally there's no reason for us to say that to you, except for that it's true. Okay, good. Seek opportunities to learn new skills. Ooh, I love this one. If you have imposter syndrome and you're like, I'm not good enough, I'm my self-worth, babe, just think of something you're interested in learning, like how to make socks, and Google it and just learn it, just for an exercise to show yourself that you can do it. This is why people go to the gym, because they're like, well, I said I was going to go work out and I did.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from my friend Kelsey Wells on her podcast. She was like, oh, I'm on like Sports Illustrated. But like, honestly, workouts, because she was explaining it to me. I said, please explain it to me, because I hate exercise. And she was like, it's literally your commitment to yourself to say, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go to the gym for an hour. Even if I don't do much, at least I fucking did it.
Yeah.
And that's so cool. That's so powerful. Get comfortable being bad at things.
Yeah.
To prove to yourself that you can do them anyways.
Because that's going to be forever. And if you can get comfortable enough being bad at things long enough, then you become kind of unstoppable.
You become a master.
Yeah, you really do.
It's inevitable. And all you have is time. This is for those of you who are out there with imposter syndrome and you've been waiting years to pursue something that you really want to do. Babe, if you just start today, in a couple years, you're going to be there.
Fucking do it. Fucking start.
Crazy.
It is a new world. It is a new world, kids. The new world is going to become more and more and more obvious the next probably 6 months. But yeah, it's a new place that we're in.
Yes, and we're here to talk. We're here to talk about exactly that. This is something we feel so intensely. I don't know, because we're artists or something. It's just obvious to us.
Yeah.
So give yourself credit. Have some compassion on you for how far you've come. So being kind to yourself is super important, because you will always gain something from failure. Even if I'm an imposter, I suck, I'm horrible, I've never had any success. Like, even your view of failure, which by the way, nobody else around you even has time to look at you and say that you're a failure. No, everybody's interested in their own shit, and it's so funny. We're all these sad little humans, like obsessed with our own failures. And it's like, those are the reason that you're going to get where you want to go.
Sounds like a good song.
Failure.
Just a sad little human obsessed with my own
failures. And connect with friends who lift you up. This is important. If you don't have friends, we'll be your friends. We're here to fucking root you on every week.
Best friends. Paper towels.
No one will get that reference. Insert the
maybe though.
Insert the paper towels video.
There was this. What were they called? Magic Hugs.
Magic Hugs.
Oh my God, we became obsessed with them back in. Was that about post-college Boston days?
It was too many like edibles that we watched those videos and thought they were funny. Yeah.
So
no, they're really brilliant. The
hilarious.
The comedic value is really high.
It was kind of like the beginning of the YouTube indie comedy scene. You know what I mean? Hilarious.
Yeah. See, we have imposter syndrome because we're like, we don't want to share with you the things that we really think are funny, like Eric Andre.
Do you think Eric Andre is really funny?
I do.
I do too.
He's so funny that I don't laugh. Is that
really?
Is that
I don't think that counts. I think that means
no, there's very few
funny.
things that I laugh. I don't laugh very easily out loud at stuff.
Oh yeah, me either.
Nick is a gut.
I'm a laugher.
He's a
all
gut
right?
chuckler.
Guttural.
Going back and listening to these podcasts, I'm like, sorry for the laughing.
No,
Yeah.
don't
All right?
apologize for that. It's contagious. It's nice.
Okay, good. Because if it's ever like, hey, we get it, bro. Like, chill the fuck out. I get it. I
But it's
understand.
authentic. You're not a faker.
Yeah, you're being
Well,
you.
I'm trying to really not like gauge how I'm trying to do it. You know,
You're not having
place
imposter
anything.
syndrome about being a podcaster?
I probably. I still haven't. I guess recently we've just started to make it like we're gonna do this thing because we weren't sure for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm probably going through a little bit of like I don't know. Is this really what you do?
And this is what happens. It's so funny because you eventually, it's like, no, we have like thousands of downloads a week. People are listening to the shit and you're still like, I don't know, do I laugh too much?
Right.
Yeah.
You're 25 episodes in, and it's
Well, and it's because it forces you into it's so imposter syndrome too. I've also always, and I think this is again a universal fucking law. Frank Sinatra supposedly used to leave if they were playing his records at the club or whatever because he hated the sound of his own voice. Frank fucking Sinatra, all right, literally known as like the most classic voice of all time. I definitely have a little bit of that same thing where I don't always love hearing the tone of my voice.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I do like hearing myself talk.
We could transpose
but
your
only
voice.
in real time. Only when I'm
You wanna
actually, this is the thing.
Do some pitch.
We could pitch
Yeah.
your voice up.
Well, what I mean by that is I still love, I do genuinely love talking and hanging out with people like in real time. Just like to like imbibe. What do you call that?
He's an imbibe. The dude resides. Wait, is that the word?
No.
Abides.
Abides.
Got it.
There we go.
We got to look all three of those words up because I don't know.
I like to fellowship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Pass a ring around, hang out with Frodo.
It's like we're at church.
Yeah.
Yo,
it's like
fellowship.
we're
We
at
had a
church.
fellowship hall in my church.
Did you really?
And that's where all the snacks were, which
Yeah, fellowship hall.
the donuts.
The cookies and the donuts.
Let's
So what
go.
kind of fellowshipping happens at church? Is that where the acid sticks are?
Oh, we just all avoid our real conversations and
Correct.
somebody's playing the piano badly in the corner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That would be me.
Wow.
I've met
Ripping the fucking coffee brandy over there.
I've met so many Mormons this month. And I try to bond with them. I'm like, hey, did you have a fellowship hall? Did you have somebody bad playing the piano? And did you have donuts? And they're kind of just like, yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. I'm trying to connect with the Mormon people. I'm like, no, we're the same, right? And they're like, no, it's a whole different brand, but a lot of things in common. So shout outs to the Mormons. We love you.
what was the Mormon joke? It was like if you go fishing with your buddies, if you invite one Mormon, they're going to drink all your beer. But if you invite two, they won't
drink it.
I'm fucked up the punchline. That's the punchline.
Yeah.
That's the gist of the joke.
It was almost good.
It was almost good.
Almost good.
Look, if any of this hypnosis shit is true at all, where people say we originated from blobs of source God energy, okay, and then come into this human experience to, and then we go back and then this is the part to evolve our souls and we go, there's only, then just know, I guess, that you are already kind of, you're perfect already. It's just this school, this human body lesson egoic school that you're currently in that's giving you these thoughts. Okay, these are not permanent things. This is just do some investigative thinking on it, and you'll find out that it's not true. Don't follow it. And we're gonna be all right.
There it is.
We're going to be all right.
We're gonna be all right.
So if you've suffered from imposter syndrome, please feel free to listen back to these tips and tricks and know that you have 3 friends here, at least on the House of Herby podcast, always supporting you. If you're interested in joining the Patreon, we have like almost 1,000 people. Yeah. Shit, that are all in there supporting each other. It's such a good vibe in the Discord, and we love being here with you. We love discovering ourselves at a deeper level and expanding on our artistry and our creativity together, and always here to support you. So we will see you next week.